AJ. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Podcast on D-Shot. Today we're talking to former UW-Whitewater student manager, AJ Bocchini, who came out with a book last year called Finish. AJ, just welcome to the show, buddy.
It's an honor to be here, D-Shot. Thank you for having me.
So let's just kind of start. Where can people find the book to
So
start?
the book is located at agentbocchini.com. There's also a Venmo for those of you who have Venmo at Finished Book. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at Finished by AJ.
Okay. So kind of just the first question for you would be, what kind of motivated you to kind of write your own book?
The motivation comes from after I was done coaching in Racine. I had a lot of time on my hands. I was fortunate enough to coach with Coach Bennett down in Racine. I had a lot of time on my hands, so I read a lot of books. But these weren't just any books. These were coaches' books. Like I read a lot of Dean Smith, Roy Williams, Coach K, and many others. And I thought to myself, I could write a book that inspires other people, that can inspire others, and that's where the idea came from.
I read the book last week, and the thing I liked was that you were able to kind of talk some very interesting stories about mishaps with you and your chair. To be honest, I don't want to come up and say that I chuckled at some of those, but just kind of, it was neat to see you kind of tie those things into the book. Can you just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So a lot of my adventures with the wheelchair had to do with the game of basketball, and my first adventure came when my dad was the JV girls basketball coach at Kohler, and he would take my brother and myself to his JV practices, and that's when my first mishap really came in. Was one particular Saturday morning, my older brother Douglas decided to take me for a spin, and we took a corner too sharp, and I spilled out of the chair. So a lot of my mishaps they're just part of the journey. And it's kind of an inside look into my life. So it's part of the journey that I just wanted to tie those in to give you guys kind of an inside look, and a lot of them had to do with the game of the game of basketball too.
The neat thing about the book is at the beginning you talk about these national championships, obviously the 2012 team, and I hate saying this, I still have not watched that game in full. I've watched bits and pieces of it. That's what you get for being at a St. Patty's Day party during a national championship game. You just kind of, oh crap, we're down 18. But you kind of started with that and gravitated towards the 2014 national championship team. Can you talk about those two teams and how important they were to your life and maybe any favorite moments?
Well, the 2012 team was really kind of special. That's how I started. That's how I got introduced not only to college basketball but also to Whitewater. Those guys took me under their wing. The guys like Luke Noble, Chris Davis, Cody Odegaard, Coach Miller, and Eric Bryson. That whole team was very was special. That being down 18, being down 18 with 12 minutes to go will always be one of my favorite memories. Just that was kind of my first those guys. That 2012 team was really integral in not only my develop, not only it's kind of how my whole journey started with Whitewater. In terms of the 2014 team, well, that's where finish comes from. So those moments, that moment is those two teams will always be special to me.
One of the neat things that I read in the book was when you were in high school, I think there was an award called the Rudy Award that people could nominate people, either student managers or student assistants. And the neat thing was that you kind of got nominated for that award, but then that your high school kind of created their own version of the award after that. So just kind of talk about that and how cool that was.
The Rudy Award, that was a very special moment for me. Playing, at the time, the Rudy Award it was a national award, and it was and my high school was Kohler and Lutheran. I didn't win the national award, but to my surprise, they threw a scholarship together for me, and it was kind of cool because at the time the two schools were played football together, and it was actually before a Kohler Lutheran basketball game. So it's something I always remember. Something that you always, like I said in the book, you always have to surround yourself with great people, and that was one of the special moments that kind of kicked off my kind of capped off one journey and started another for me. So
the other thing, AJ, is obviously you're a student manager of the men's team at Whitewater, and the other thing was you were kind of a student manager in terms of the high school, some of the high school teams when you're in high school. What were some things that you learned from those experiences, and what were the biggest differences between those two levels in terms of being a student manager?
I'd say one was just, you go from you go from a small town like Kohler to the Division III level. I'd say the transition would be not only the transition at the two levels, but the transition to college in general was the biggest jump in terms of the two levels. I didn't. The biggest difference is probably the pace of the pace of play, and also just the speed of practices. But I would also say, like, there were going from a small town like Kohler to where you're to the B3 level, there was no, I didn't see any difference. There was the only difference would be like, hold on, Lucia. I didn't see such a difference. I played for great coaches at both levels. So I played for Coach Rader at Kohler and Coach Miller at Whitewater, and I played for great coaches at both levels. So I cannot. There wasn't much of a difference.
Okay. You talk about that relationship with Miller. Obviously, your freshman year, you kind of felt like you wanted to get involved with athletics, and you felt like that kind of part of that you wanted that to be a part of your college life. And eventually, obviously, you and your dad were at a game again between Franklin and Kenosha Bradford, obviously involving Q, and Pat came up to you and you were wearing a Whitewater shirt, and you were just kind of asking about, oh, how's the team? You make tournament, and you wanted to get involved with the team, and lo and behold, you go up to your class. You have a class with Miller later, and he's like, are you going to show up to practice today? Just kind of talk about that first experience with Miller.
The first experience, I was kind of shy because it was you talking the high school game?
Yeah.
Oh, so the high school game, yeah. My dad's friend's son is Jimmy Krieger, and it's Matt Krieger, and Matt was being looked at by Whitewater at the time. And my first encounter with Miller was kind of, it was one of those things where I was actually going to ask him, "Are you going to make the NCAA tournament this year?" Because they were 17-9 that year. But my energy level just came out with, "Do you need help?" And you can ask Miller this to this day. I think I was in. He said, "Come to my office in the fall," and I think I was in his office 2 weeks later. So I love that relationship. Unfortunately, with the pandemic season, this year wasn't it. I love that relationship. I always treasure my relationship with Whitewater and with Miller. It's something that's always been special to me. So
I guess kind of talk about obviously your relationships with some of the guys on the team. Obviously Cody Odegaard's one of your best friends. Just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Without those guys, there'd be no me. So without those guys like Cody, like Eric, for those of you who don't, those guys did a lot for me on and off the floor. That whole team, that whole team, the whole university did a lot for me on and off the floor. Whether it was getting me up to a class, whether it was helping me at practice or helping me on a bus ride, those guys did a lot for me in terms of helping me just succeed on and off the floor. So I owe my relationships with the team. I owe a lot to those relationships, and I talk in the book about second family, and that's truly what those guys what those guys were to me is you talk in Finnish about the second family, whether it's professors, whether everyone that just helped me get to where I am today. I wouldn't be where I am without everyone. So
Obviously we talk about the word Finnish, and to me it was kind of cool to kind of hear that your statement kind of to Miller in the 14 season ended up on the ring. Just kind of talk about kind of how that ended up on the ring.
Well, that was a tremendous moment of pride for me, for that. That was a shock to me, actually. So that night we were preparing for our second national title game in 3 years, and he pulled us in the huddle, and he looked at me. As our custom coach pulled me into the huddle, looked at me. I looked back and I looked at the guys, looked at the ceiling, and said, "We've come this far. Now it's time to finish the deal." And that following spring, Miller announced to the audience that Finnish would be inscribed on the inside of our national championship ring. So that was a tremendous moment of pride for me. I still look at it every day, and every day when I'm at home. I don't have them here with me, but I still look at it. When I go to give a presentation, that's still a tremendous moment of pride for me.
You talk about kind of the presentation thing. It's neat kind of seeing you go around to whether it's different schools or just guys within the program that are coaching at the high school levels and whatnot. So you're with Steve Egan with his school. He's gone over to Cody's school a couple times. Just talking about kind of being able to go talk to kind of obviously guys programs that involve some of your former teammates.
Those are really special. Giving speeches for me is about, not life is about relationships, D-Shot, whether it's on the floor, off the floor, or at work or wherever. It's about relationships, and to have those opportunities and be presented those opportunities. With the pandemic this year was a little crazy, just trying to get gigs, but I love giving speeches. It's all about the kid. It's all about the kids too. I mean, the students too. That's what I love doing. And so I love going out. I love making a positive impact on people. I gotta give a lot of credit to Coach Bennett and St. Catherine's too. They did a finish thing for me. They wore finish t-shirts for me last year. But it's all about relationships. It's all about relationships and inspiring. And I always want to leave every relationship I have. We talk about finish, and we talk. You want to make an impact that's going to last, whether where on people, wherever you may go. So you may not, like I talk in the book, you may not see the results of the impact today, tomorrow, the next day, but you'll see it somewhere down the line.
For those who haven't read the book, obviously you have finish kind of stands for something in the book. Can you kind of go in depth to those who haven't read the book and would like to read the book, what the finish mantra stands for?
Yes. So finish, the F in finish stands for family. So for most people, when they think of family, they think of what? Moms, dads, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, grandma, grandpa, cousins, and so on. But for me, family goes well beyond that. It extends to my professors who helped me get a master's degree. It extends to my caregivers who helped me go to class even when they didn't have to. So the F in finish stands for family. The I in finish stands for the I in no limitations. I was blessed to grow up in a family that didn't place any limitations on what I could do. Rather, they set the expectations. So, yeah. So the F in finish stands for family. The I in finish stands for no limits, no limitations. It's always important to play. The C shot. Don't place any limitations on what you can do, regardless of the circumstances you may face. The N in finish stands for never quit. Throughout my life, I've had thousands of opportunities to quit. Each letter in the book stands for something different. So we got family, no limitations, never quit, always try to make a positive impact on others, surround yourself with great, So each letter in the surround yourself with great people and help others. So each letter in the book stands for a different letter that you're gonna come across. And the book, each letter has life lessons in it as well that hopefully people can take away from when they read it and apply it to their life as well.
What was the best part of writing your own book?
The best part was the fact that I didn't write it. I used voice recognition. So the best part was I was able to write it using speaking. So, and I would say the best part is just the people I was able to meet, throughout the process, and the help I had along the way. Nothing I accomplished or I've accomplished alone. So I would say that would be the best part.
I guess kind of, what's your favorite story in the book?
My favorite story in the book. My favorite story in the book would have to be, it would have to be the time that I think it would have to be my first practice with my favorite song in the book was, let's see, I'm trying to think. Let me think. There's a lot of them that stick out. But I'd say my favorite story would be the trip up to Minneapolis when we went to visit when we went to visit we went to visit Dr. Gates, because it just hold on one second, Isha. It just it's something that impacted my life and still created but hold on one second. Let me think. There's so many of them. I'd say my favorite story would be two I'd say 2014, just how we as a team, that year was pretty special to me. So my favorite story my actually no. One second. Sorry, D. My favorite.
All I can think about is that Stevens Point game.
Yeah, my favorite story would probably, if I had to think about it though, D-Shot, my favorite story would probably be the time where we played Sheboygan Falls, and I was able to play with my brother. That would be my favorite story, sure. But also, if we go into deeper into the story, my favorite story would be the relationships. I don't have a particular favorite one because there's so many of them, but I'd say my favorite part of the book was just the relationships I was able to form with the guy, with everyone in the book. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'd say one of the other ones that kind of stuck out to me was, I guess it was a rivalry game in high school. Your brother, did he hit a game-winning shot or something?
Yeah, that would if you had to ask me, that would be my favorite.
Okay.
That's the one I was gonna go with.
Because it's kind of awesome that
right
after that you guys go to a McDonald's and then somebody goes and says no Bocchini's allowed.
Yeah, that was a pretty special one. That guy was actually the PA announcer at Sheboygan Falls.
Okay.
So that was pretty special. To share that with my brother, that was pretty special. It's a moment that still sticks out to both of us. Falls is a much bigger school than Kohler. So, and that's actually, that's the last time Kohler played Falls in basketball.
Oh crap, pull up, AJ. Yeah, my computer's doing crap, so hold up. All right, you're good.
All right.
All right, where were we at going?
You were asking me about Kohler and Falls.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pretty special moment for me. To share that moment with your brother was pretty special. Was pretty special. I was fortunate enough. That's how my journey kind of started. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where I used sports to level the playing field. So sports was how I wouldn't use the word overcame the CP, but was how I leveled the playing field. And I'll get into that in the book. That's how I kind of love it, so that the game against Falls is kind of I would say the start of some special moments that I had within the game. So it was pretty special.
I'm just curious, like, what's your favorite Whitewater men's basketball moment in terms of practice?
In terms of practice,
any interesting stories or any?
Let me think.
There's always those stories about you and Calvin and the shot clock.
Yeah. I would say my favorite moment was kind of my introductory to Whitewater basketball, and I love Miller for this to this day. You know, I'd say my favorite moment would be the first practice of the year when you go around when you know, my favorite moment was when just meeting all the guys, and then you know I guess my favorite moment would be my 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 first practice. I remember I was so nervous, but you know, my favorite moments would probably be just all the you know, if I had one, I don't think I have one specific one, but if I had to say, it would probably be the practices that, you know, there's, I don't, there's so many, man. There's so many. Um, you know, there's, there's, let me think. There are so many that stick out. Um, there, oh, here's the, let me think. Um, Let me think, D-Shot. There's so many. But if there's
Any trash talk? I know that, like, any funny trash talk moments between maybe you and Cody, or you and anybody on the team, or any, I don't know if there's any.
I would say my going back to my favorite practice memory would be the times when I would get accused of falling asleep on the shot clock during practices. But that would any funny trash talk, funny banter. I remember one time we had
Besides you talking crap about beating me in Madden, because I always hated that.
no. It's no, it's our I think like I'd say my favorite the funny the funniest one would just be the back and forth between um like the two teams, like you know, you had like guys like going back and forth when we went up and down. Those were the funniest moments because you would have guys, you know, it was just a fun group to be a part of. So I don't there were so many memories that I had. I love my time at Whitewater. So it was so there were so many funny memories that I can, you know, can think of.
I know I asked this to Miller in the episode with Miller. Any really good Lucas Burns stories?
Oh man. I remember one time uh this is tough because um, Burns is a very close friend of mine. Um, Burns, I'd say, uh, are you looking for on the floor or off the floor?
Can be either.
My favorite Burns story um, is the time that he bought. Um, I'd say my favorite Burns story would be just he took he took everybody under his wing. You know,
Mm.
he always on the floor, off the floor, it didn't matter. He took everybody under his wing, and you know that would be my favorite memory of Burns. As a teammate, he's one of the greatest teammates I ever had. Um, you know, he's dearly missed um, uh, every day, and you know it's one of the you know one of the I the only thing I regret is not um, is you know I'd say that my favorite memory though would be him would be when I'd say off the floor would be when he bought the restaurant, and you know and and then on the floor just him as a teammate was just so genuine and so he cared so much about everybody. And I know that if he was here, you know, he just meant so much to so many people on and off the floor and in and around the Whitewater community. Um, you know, yeah.
I'm just curious, AJ, obviously 2014 Cordell's game winner, the comeback in 12. If you had to kind of pick your top third, like if there's a third moment or third game that sticks out to you in terms of Whitewater men's basketball, what would it be?
I'd say, oh, I know specifically. Um, uh, February 5th, 2014.
The Stevens Point game where I go crazy.
And no, D-Shot, this is kind of personal for me. Um, we were going to play point, and the night before, it's in the book, but the night before
Is it your like uncle?
my uncle passed away.
Yeah.
And the night before, I remember I went into Bennett's office, and I wasn't sure that I was going to play or manage, but those guys put me through. And to win that game that night, the night before, it was special because that's the game. If you remember, we were down by 4. KJ hits the 3, and Q makes the and one. But just to come together as a team, there's so many great games in my time at Whitewater. So many great people, on and off the floor. You want to talk about relationships. So many great people, whether it's Coach Miller, whether it's Cody, whether it's Coach Bennett for the years he was there, and my opportunity to follow him to St. Cat's. So many relationships that I everyone's doing so many great things, and that's what I loved about my time. It's just the relationships we're able to form.
How much did it stick out? Obviously, your brother went to Stevens Point. I know you probably rub it in his face that you guys cut down the nets at his school, or that was kind of your like obviously Point kind of, it's been kind of Pat's kind of Achilles heel sometimes, but just kind of, was it kind of neat to kind of say, oh, we finally beat you guys?
Point and Whitewater is a great rivalry. There's no, so it was not a we finally beat you guys when it came to my brother, because he wasn't involved in basketball. But it was, one of those moments where you look back on, and it was a benchmark of our year that year. That was a benchmark of our year. But also it was one of the moments that I always remember because of what that led to and that team did that year. It's one of those moments that will always, and it will always be a highlight of finish too. So I appreciate, the opportunity and everything. So it was a great moment in our, it still sticks out to me. I still remember that day, and that day will always stick out in my mind, probably because of what happened, because of what it led to for us as a team. So
I like looking back at the game, but I do not like listening to my call or my color commentary. It's just so, I don't know how much truth there is to Pat Miller just muting the call while he's trying to get in touch with the coaches. But I'm like, I did not want to put that on a demo reel. I did not want to be like, it's so too much. And somehow Jin Meade still airs it on UW TV as a classic game because it was such a big game. But
Yeah, it was, like I said, my time at Whitewater, the relationships I have, you know, I, I, I love it. I love it. I'll always, be grateful to those guys, and to to see to see what everyone is doing. You got Drew at Texas Tech. You got Cody coaching his team. But to see what everyone is doing, and I want to give props where credit's due to every one of the people in the book. That's just made such a difference in my life. The coaches, Coach Benjamin, St. Katz, Mike Rickers, everyone, just everyone that's, it's been my time at Whitewater with Miller started, my journey with Finish started because of my opportunities that I was blessed to be given by some great people, or that the people I was able to surround myself with, my parents, my brothers, it all comes down to who you surround yourself with, and that's what I will always take away from the journey. So.
let's kind of just end on to your message to anybody that's wanting to read the book. What's the number one message you'd like to send somebody who's looking to read the book?
I'll say the life lessons you take away. For me, we talk about family, we talk about no limitations, we talk about never quitting, always trying to make a positive impact on others, surround yourself with great people, and help others. And I'd say I hope that you take away from the book as much as you can and apply it to your own life, because that's what I tried to do. And I was never writing the book was never about me personally. It was always about who can I help that's maybe 8 years old, that's has is facing some tough times, because everybody goes through it, especially with COVID right now. Everybody's going through it. I'm myself too, so especially with COVID right now, it's but I hope that you can take away life lessons and apply it to your own family, and it's a great read. So I don't just say that as the author. I loved writing it for people, and I loved everything about it. So hopefully we can keep it going a little bit. I love it. So I hope readers enjoy it, and I hope that it makes an impact on others, because that's what I went for. So
I guess anything else you want to add, AJ? Or
I just want to thank everyone who helped me get to the point where the book is written. Everyone who helped me along my journey. Like I said, my parents, my brothers, Coach Bennett, Coach Miller, all my college coaches, Coach Luther, Coach, my family, my friends. I just want to thank everyone who helped, and I hope people enjoy it, because, like I said, it's all about making a positive impact on others, and making that. It's not about me. It's about making the impact on others that can last long after, long after, long after that can last long after the book is years down the line. So that's what I hope people take away from.
All right. Thanks, AJ, for joining me, and have a, I guess, a good luck, or I don't know.
Thank you, D-Shot. It was an honor to be here. Again, thanks, D-Shot, for the opportunity. It was an honor to be here and a true joy. So thank you again.
All right, cool.
Bye.
All right. Just stop. Okay.